Okay, welcome guys, welcome. We're going to be looking at not just Dwarf Fortress, or actually not Dwarf Fortress at all. Today we're going to be looking at the Dwarf Fortress Legends, and I'm going to actually sketch things as we go along, just so that we've got a bit of a record. I'll try to do the sketching as fast as possible, so I spend sort of minimal time doing that, but I thought we might just get a few, just so we've got a bit of a, I guess, a sketch history of the fortress from the time that we actually went in there. So if we go back in and have a look at the continue and active game, to be honest, I've forgotten exactly where it was in the world. I was just having a bit of a look in the Legends mode. I've exported the Legends out already, so I've started a new game in existing world. In fact, we can just do that and just see where we actually ended up to at least get some sort of context as to what we were doing. So we'll because we will be going back in again. By the way, this is now on my, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is on my actual main channel, because I thought this was going to be a bit of a one-off type video. I don't know how, if it doesn't do any well, I think I'll just hide it, but we'll see how it goes. But if you are interested, I will be starting a new run in the same fortress. We're going to be reclaiming it yet again. It was a fantastic fortress last time. It was just really, really awesome. Let's just go back into fortress mode. That way we can sort of see where things actually are. So we were actually in the year 302. We're in midsummer, so it sort of goes through the summer months. So granite, slate, and felsite are the spring months, and then we're in the middle, right in the very middle of summer at the moment. So we're going to, even when we sort of come into this into the fortress again next time, we've got a lot of cleaning up to do. We won't have a look back in there, but there is actually well, we could, I guess we could. But I thought it'd be fun just to actually see, what actually happened. Like, I think it was Dwarven was like, I've got no idea how Dwarven died in the fortress, and I wouldn't mind knowing these sorts of things, because Dwarven was someone who should have been well protected. Okay, so sick of saying redeemed a name. There's not going to be any naming. This is going to be purely legends. We're not coming in today. We're not delving into the actual fortress itself. So if we go back into reclaim and unretire, we have got Lance Sounded is the one that we are interested in. So it would be, it's down in here. Okay, so we've got a mountain range up into here, another mountain range back into here. What I might do is I might just go back and reclaim it and just show you what actually has happened in here as a point of context. I'll just go through what we're going to be doing today. So the main thing we're going to be looking at is the Legends mode. And so if I just go and Alt Tab, hopefully this will then work. Legends mode in through here. So if this is actually the Legends mode, that means that we should be in around here somewhere. Is that Lance Sounded? Yeah, that's Lance Sounded, the fortress there. We're going to be delving into Lance Sounded today, just to look at the histories of what's actually happened in this particular fortress, and just sort of, so we'll see the important things. It'll mainly be the siege. Astro Blaster's redeemed one as well. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to redeem your points back, because we're not starting yet. So we're not going to be we're not redeeming. I'll be starting again in a couple of days' time, I think. Maybe even a day, maybe even tomorrow. Who knows? Because I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, we're mainly going to be looking at the Legends of Lance Sounded. So we'll go back to the game, just so you got a bit of context. You got excited, yeah? But I'm also going to be sketching. And I do actually have a, where are we? Unfortunately, it covered up a bit of my screen at the bottom there. I'll just get that one way off the bottom here. And I might just change the scale of things a little bit, just so that I can see what you guys are doing. But if I go into, this is going to be, oh, hang on, that's no good. I'm going to have to come back up. Damn it. I was hoping to have this one where I can actually just keep everything sort of on top of it. But this will be sort of like when I go, I'm just going to be drawing. Hopefully this will work. I haven't done this for a long period of time, but let's just make sure this is actually working. So I've got the pencil sketch in through here. Is that going to work? Damn it, it keeps on. This may not work with this. I was just trying to figure out a way that so I could actually sort of sketch really quickly different sorts of things that might sort of happen in the actual fortress itself. But I think it's going to be problematic. I didn't set all the stuff up that I normally would set up. Maybe we spend a minute just because I would like to do it. Just to give it a bit of context. I think it'd be fun to sort of draw the grisly end of a few of the dwarves, but just in a rough sort of pencil sketch way. Is that working on your side? It's good enough actually on your side. Actually, it's probably better than it needs to be. In terms of the actual, yeah, actually that's okay. What I'll do is I will actually just. I'm just going to have to put some things so that they always stay on top. Just bear with me. I'm just going to go and if I position that one down there, it sort of does fix it up, but it seems to sort of it seems to be wanting to grab the asset all the time. There's so much technical things I've got to do with this. Just let me check stuff out. So I'm just going to go and. I thought I actually spent an hour, believe it or not, trying to get this all sorted, just so I could do this, because I haven't done the illustration online for a long period of time. Just let me just go back to screen grab again, and we can minimise that. I should have got sizer there, window top. I'll run that. Hopefully that still works. It's pretty old. Now if I go into here, I should be able to then go set top. I'm just setting all of my my elements to the top, and then if I go back into the sketch, that's the front window, and then the back window should still be working, I hope. No, it's not quite. I've got to somehow just get this so that it appears at the very, very top there. There we go. That will work. Okay, so we can do it, I think. So we'll just I'll just come back into here and then just delete. Right, so when we come back in, I'll start sort of sketching bits and pieces on this particular sheet. Hopefully that will be clear enough when we sort of go back into it. And but let's get back into the game itself. So if I just minimize that one, we will start up Dwarf Fortress. So let's go in and have a bit of a look and see what actually happened. But I've got I've exported the legends out literally just a few minutes ago, an hour ago now. That was the first thing I did. But I've been trying to get the illustration program sort of to so I can. It's hard because the illustration program is I'm used to using it on an HD monitor, and I've got it when I stream on a 1080p monitor, so it's a bit smaller it's a bit more tight than what I normally would be doing. Okay, so let's go and start a new game in an existing world. And again, we're not going to be actually playing this. We're just going to be having a bit of a look, just get some context of what the fortress actually is and how things were then sort of working. So this will be after the siege. This is now 2 weeks after the siege, which is it's been about 2 weeks since we finished the siege. So it was so timing is right. So we'll just go into fortress mode, and we'll reclaim Lance Sounded. So it always runs forward 2 weeks. That'll give the goblins time to get back home again. We don't even know who it was that attacked us or why they attacked us, because we weren't at war with anyone at the start. So something has happened in the last year. I'll just grab a drink while. Hang on. I'm going to keep on forgetting to go back between the monitors. Many years ago, I used to do these illustrations for all sorts of different things, and so I used to do illustration a hell of a lot on my live streams. And I used to just have dedicated illustration live streams, way back, many years ago. Okay, so so anyway, we're just going to go back into Reclaim. We're going to go to Lance Sounded, and we'll just delve in. So Lance Sounded is down here. It's now a ruin. So, okay, so it says in the midsummer of 302, the West Plague defeated the Chamber of Jails of the Unseen Relic, and destroyed Lance sounded, but we're going to reclaim it, and we'll have a look and see what the damage actually is. It's going to be a lot of carnage. So if you've got a faint heart, then you know, sort of, you may want to turn away. Okay, there's all sorts. No copper high boots available. Wow, that's actually it doesn't matter. Escape, because we don't care about this. That's interesting. I mean, you may have chosen another faction, so we'll just go and embark. Yes, I'm ready. All right, so it's this is we're going to have a really big head start when we go back into this one. It's going to be a massive. So so this is why we're going to have to get set up really fast and protect the fortress. But there's a lot of things already in the fortress. So probably the first episode is going to be mainly on pause, I would think, just while we sort of like take stock of what we've got and just build up. So we're going to have to go in with the military, I think, right from the very, very start. We sort of were a bit unlucky, not unlucky. I mean, we sort of we things happened during the course of the game where our main military all got killed early because, and hence the name of the Pit of Doom. So when we come in, we'll be starting in through here. You'll see that there's different blocks from when the goblins actually destroyed the walls of the old fortress. So the ancient fortress was standing here. We had, I think that there's just empty cages through here. Everything is going to be sort of empty, but there's all this carnage down through here of different, there's sick, it's mangled skeleton. So there's all these different skeletons from when people were fighting the big goblin skeletons. This was actually where the final, where there's a ghost. Who's that ghost? This is Private Joe's ghost wandering around in the fortress right now. So there's all this stuff that actually happened in the fortress, and in fact the siege engine got to here and broke open this part of the wall. And in the end, it was literally just a scramble to just feed the dwarves into the group. At the very, very end, if you sort of were watching this, this is, by the way, this whole series, and it's not that much. We didn't do, how many do we do? About 5 or 6 episodes, I guess, before we got to this point. So this is a reclamation of an ancient, like an old, not ancient, yeah, it would be ancient. I think it was sort of like a ruin from a couple of hundred years ago. And so this was actually an old fortress, an old dwarven fortress, and so we just reclaimed it, which is why all of this existing, actually this structure here wasn't there, but all of the paving that we see, the big walls, everything was sort of done. In fact, the humans built that fortress. It's sort of got a checkered history, Lance sounded. It's sort of it ended up, and we'll go through that in the legends, but so we won't sort of spend too much time in through here. But anyway, you'll see that there's a hell of a lot of carnage. At the end of the whole fortress, we ended up with like when the siege was actually happening, we managed to trap most of their guys inside. This is like this is where we sort of had built an underground entrance. We managed to capture all of their melee forces down in here. There were 6 ranged guys back out here, and then there was the siege engine with 6 goblins sort of coming in towards the fortress at that point in time. So they were about here at that stage, I think. And what we then did was we basically opened the gates. We had like this was all enclosed, and so we opened this one up to come running around with the remainders of our military. We were pretty good at that stage, not realizing that there was actually 2 ambushes of other goblins waiting for us, and so there was a whole lot of other melee goblins. So we hardly made it out of this area. There's also going to be all sorts of different people that died in through here as well. There's all different mangled skeletons. There's Sev's mangled skeleton in through there. Just look at the named ones, but there's there's all sorts of different dwarves that end up being smashed by that particular ambush before we could get to the siege engine. The siege engine got here, broke its way through. The final is Sevo 4, so you can see there's Sevo 3 back up through here. So the naming was thick and fast at the back end here. So Sicko 2, there's Sevo, so these were all different. There's a Dwarven as well. There's Dwarven. Was it Dwarven then that was the wrong one? Let's just go back down into the fortress. So what actually happened is this was a massive pit that just went down deep underground, and it was just literally like a. In fact, I might just sort of start to sketch this sort of stuff up, and we'll just go from there. So if we just go and again, just bear with me, guys, and I'll see if this all works again now. That's a good start, and we'll just go back across to here. So essentially, what's actually happened here is we've got we've essentially got like a large pit underground that sort of ends up coming through with the like there was sort of like an entranceway that sort of delved deeper and deeper into the actual into the pit itself, and so the top of it was all sort of like paved and looking all sort of nice, etc., etc. But then the actual pit itself sort of delved down into like a group that where the if we just sort of go back, because it'll be sort of then coming back in through the other side there, that would then continue on down. How would that look? That would sort of then end up being a bit like this. So we'd end up essentially with a walkway underneath there. With the I hope this is all making sort of sense, but this would be this was, I think that was just rock. In fact, we can sort of tell. I think this is sort of like rock as it went down. So we had sort of like rock that would sort of then end up sort of going back down from the top. So the little dwarves, you know, sort of on the edge in through this other side. So there was, and then the rock overhang back in that sort of area. That would then sort of be more in shadow, I guess, that sort of underneath that side, and then sort of continue on back down through the actual fortress. I wish I might do this on a different layer. But this was this is what was designated as the Pit of Doom, etc., etc. So anyway, that's sort of like the that was what we had in the middle of the fortress. So that ended up, when we first got there, that was essentially what we ended up having. Is that working for you guys? It looks like it's sort of gone a bit crazy. I might have to give this up, doing this stuff. What's going on there? Now it's clear again. I'll keep on trying it. I'll persist with it a little bit, but I'm not going to be doing much more than just sort of like very, very basic sort of sketching here, because I don't really want to be sort of spending too much time doing the, but this is the Pit of Doom. Lance sounded. So anyway, that's sort of where we started. Just go back to the actual screen grab again, and go back to Dwarf Fortress. So this sort of extended down as we sort of were looking back through here. We then built other. This was sort of like where we had the trade caravan. This is actually the extension of where we ended up trapping them. I won't go through the full detail. Again, you'll see there's bones everywhere, different goblins, but also different dwarves all the way through. We did pretty well with the damage that we did do. So this was, and there was a big fight down through here as well. Boland. Just think all these names. There's Private Joe. Must have been a different Private Joe. Actually, that would have been Private Joe, the ghost at the top there. So we've got the ghost of Private Joe is up the top there. In fact, if we have a look and see at the units and have a look at the dead or missing, yeah, this is all the people who died essentially. So, and we are sort of seeing that there will be various ghosts, and we will have to lay them to rest. So there's an undead there. If I just go back to other, yeah, so Sev and Private Joe both have ghosts in the fortress at the moment. So Private Joe is in the bottom of the Pit of Doom by the looks of things. So as we sort of come up, this is the Pit of Doom in through this other side, coming up through the cavern layers, up through the bedroom layers that we've built, and so on. So we've got a lot of stuff in here for when we do go back in. Anyway, the goblins managed to sort of get everywhere into this particular fortress and do this destruction. They sort of had broken open the doors that we had set up back in through here. So we're going to have to, when we rebuild this, we'll probably just focus on this central little area in through here. Can we reapply for the new expedition? I have not dug deeply and greedily enough, says Boland. Not today, because we're just going to be looking at the legends. So we'll just delve into what actually happened in the legend mode and sort of go from there. Actually, sorry guys, I'm just going to change things a little bit just so I can see the. I've got to try to see the time. I'm just going to have to just delve this in a little bit. It should still be okay, I think. I just so I'll probably be able to stay around for a bit of time today, but I do want to just make sure that that's actually all going to work. All right, so back into Dwarf Fortress. So this is going to be, so we're not going to spend any time really in here. What we might do is when something has happened, we might go to that location if I know where it is and see what actually did happen in it, because we only were in a couple of years before the siege actually occurred. So let's go back to the legend viewer and get started with it. So so Land Sounded essentially, when we actually go into here, there was 3 battles now, 2 beast attacks, 108 notable deaths, and so we're going to be going through a lot of these and just sort of see how things actually do work. This is, if you're unsure of what you're looking at through here, this is like a mod type thing where you can download like different legend viewers and things. This one is version 1.2.5. This is from Cromtech, so this is from GitHub. If I go and click on that one, might as well just go and have a look, just make sure. It won't matter if this isn't the most recent one, but this is actually, so this is the Legend Viewer Next version 1.2.5, which is the one that we actually do have, released on May the 5th. And so this is actually the one that I'm using at the moment. So this is our most recent version. Yep, that's all good. And so these are, this is actually just a way of looking at the legends. It then, when you actually start them up, you then load in, you've got to export your legends out, and then you can actually have a look at them. Use DF Hack, you get even more information in the actual legends, so it works in well with that as well. And there's Lance Sounded there. So we've got this is the different deaths. So how many deaths were at the site, grouped by race? So mainly dwarves. 87 dwarves lost their life, not so much in the last 2 years, but overall. Some humans also lost their lives in through here as well. So we've got the humans. What are they? Only 1 human, 1 elf, 12 goblins. That would be not as many as I thought there were. I thought we killed more than that. Anyway, that's what we actually have at this point in time. And then there's a whole lot of things like geese and chickens and so on and so forth. Actually, there'll be a lot of should be a lot of turkeys. Where's our turkeys? Only 1 turkey. They must have been running around. We did have 1 pig as well. That would have been from our group. Anyway, that's the actual deaths, and then we can sort of see through here the events start to kick in the year 300, 301, 302. So we'll have a quick look at the dwarf, at what actually went on at the actual history of the broad history of Lance Sounded. And so in the early, so the early lancers of the Fence of Drinks being a civilization of dwarves, founded Lance Sounded in the year 98. So this is like 200 years before us. We won't worry too much about what goes on through there, except that we've got the there'll be a fair few sort of different settlements. In fact, what I might do is just go and change this to say 50, just so we can sort of zip on through. They constructed like a tavern, or a market in through there as well, and then they actually started to build tunnels all the way around the world. And so we actually find that when we go back into the fortress. When we go down onto the, and so a lot of this stuff was here before we started to build on it. So down in the cavern layers, down in here, we end up with the road network, which sort of extends off. And so the original dwarves built this area. This was actually all still just the big pit of doom. I started to wall it off because we ended up sort of losing too many units. But this then extends off, and I've actually now blocked this one off. So just to stop things from getting into the actual into the fortress. So this is all enclosed for us, but this road extends off the map and essentially becomes a road network that used to connect all of the other fortresses back in the year 100. We'll just go back out to our information through here, and so they basically in 98 and 99 they started to build these big tunnels everywhere, basically, or to connect the world. And so it was only from that first tavern layer that they did that. Okay, then we actually have in 108 we get little things like, for example, the Harvest Past of Morns was authored by the elf Kalovi, who most have probably died. Oh, sorry, you see, died in 196. But this particular elf was ended up sort of like as Lance Sound had become bigger and bigger. They were doing different things in through here. We only sort of see the important characters and so on and so forth in through this other side. But you can sort of see there different elves were obviously sort of come in and settled in with the dwarves, and were making it into a bit of a a monastery or something, like where they were sort of writing their books and so on and so forth. In 110, so only like what's that, about 12 years after it started, the Siena of Geysers. This is actually a site government of humans. We won't go through too much of this one. They attacked the early lancers. The leader of the attack was the zombie dwarf. So Moma's theatre circle. So we're sort of seeing this was a zombie dwarf from the Siena Geysers, a site government of humans, during the Siege of Talons, where the Siena Geysers were attacking the early Lancers of the Fence of Drinks. So the early Lancers being the group that had settled initially back up through here. So I might, I don't know how many of these things I should be sketching out, but I think I'll just sort of go through there. Boland saying, and we haven't even met the rocs before the goblins engage. Yeah, Udders Travesty. I know, it's funny, isn't it? Like, it's sort of, we'll find out about the roc. I'm going to now try to figure out if they were there all along, because we closed off a lot of the actual the deeper parts of the fortress. We closed off so that, because we'll get to where the rocs are in a minute. If you're watching this cold and don't know what we're talking about, this will explain it very, very soon. Anyway, the Siena Geysers, we can actually just deviate off and just see what is this group. They're located down in through here. They did go to war with a few different little groups. We can sort of zoom in on that one. Dwarves, the Fence of Drinks. This is their actually attacks in through this other side. So they've attacked a few different places. So this is the Salted War. Hang on, where are we? Oops. Just going as we sort of go back down through there. Without knowing why there's a zombie dwarf there, became the master of the Siena of Geysers. Here we go. So this isn't a tower, is it? Founded natural fillings. It is a tower. Okay, this is a this is a Necromancer tower. This is actually what it is. It's a site government, because it's actually, but it's in the late autumn, the Siena Geysers founded natural flings, which is actually their Necromancer tower. And so one of their zombie humans actually led the attack on Lance Sounded. Let's just go back out to Lance Sounded again. So that puts it into perspective. So at that stage, they did actually come back through. So we can see there that there will be the dwarf. So there will be zombie dwarfs and things like this. So it says, struck down by a dwarf, down by a goblin. So they had like a whole lot of different zombie creatures that were fighting with them. This one here is a former captain of the guard, the armory of. It's a female dwarf, former captain of the guard of the armory of barbarians. Where are you from? The army of barbarians. This is a part of the Fence of Drinks. Okay, that was actually fighting on our behalf. So this was actually one of the main warriors that was actually involved in that particular attack. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here. Let's just keep on going. So in midwinter, the 1st of Obsidian, basically the Siena Geysers defeated the early Lancers of the Fence of Drinks and took over Lance Sounded. The new government was called the Yellow Quickness during the First Conquest as a result of the Siege of Talons as part of the Assaulted War. And so the human necromancers took over the site at that stage. And then there is... was hacked to pieces. So basically at that time, they then killed a lot of the actual remaining dwarves. So you can see through here, Bemble, Errol, these are different people were hacked to pieces at Lance Sounded. So these were essentially destroyed. So this on the same day, the zombie dwarf Lissat. Now, is that the same one that actually led the attack? No. So MoMA's theatre circle. So in this case, another zombie. So a zombie dwarf actually came and settled at this particular location to sort of then take over the site for the necromancers. And then certain things like different dwarves were then brought back to life by the necromancers. So they sort of basically resettled the place based on the what actually happened through here. And then we've got different humans. So this is Axe, settled in Lansdowne during the Second Conquest. So this would be fleeing a different. This is 6 years later now. The dwarf was brought back to life from the dead by the human necromancers, Viku. So Viku is now, is Viku dead? No, Viku is still around somewhere. So Viku was a necromancer that lived at Lansdowne for a while. And so this one is sort of now just moved on into different, a prisoner of the site government, the Worky Devil. Okay, there we go. So he ends up being caught by the goblins by the looks of things. So this necromancer is somehow captured. Anyway, we won't keep on going back through, but that's actually, he's a human necromancer that was living in Lansdowne. So he's actually still somewhere on the map by the looks of things. Actually, I'll just double check that. If we go and Viku Swarm authored. Yeah, still alive and currently a prisoner of the goblins somewhere. Actually, what year was that? I just like, I don't know, my head just goes into, wow, what's going on here? Prisoner of the site government through this other side. Hardly spent any time. This is former master of the site. This is a former master of the Sienna Geysers. All right, and I don't know if we go back and have a look. These are this is sort of essentially the different necromancers that were associated with it. Nothing really happened since 249, but a fairly rich and vivid history, I think. Just go back to the second page. Well, this is actually, we'll find the same listing in here. Where was it? It was around in here somewhere. Attempted to corrupt the human. So we see sort of like deeper aspects of this particular. So this is actually, this one is actually leading like essentially a criminal organisation as well. So trying to corrupt different people, trying to sort of get them to give them information. And now who knows? Actually, did Viku corrupt the human? This is back in 105. What about before the war started? It was 101. Yeah, no, we're not sort of seeing it through there. So this is actually just where Viku was. We should actually have, learned the secrets of life in the year 53, and then started to try to corrupt different people at that point. So by that stage, we end up with, I'm not seeing the actual location there. Held a foot race in brush. Yeah, so this is sort of all over the place. So it was offered to the mysterious peaks, an artifact, a helm artifact during the first conquest. This is older. When was it? When was the last one? I didn't look at the date. So he's got a Ren Necromancer which sort of works underneath him. Is that one still alive? Yes, that one's still alive as well. That's a prophet of one of their groups. Anyway, continues on. Court, blah, blah, blah. We'll just go to the back end of this. Just go to the next page. And so what actually happened here? In the year 249, the Dark Monster, MoMA's Darkgrave, this was a dark monster. So these will be sort of like special sort of beasts. Fought with Viku while defeated. The later escaped unscathed in Horror Sin. This is Dark Pit. So attacked. I'm not sure if he gets where he gets captured. That's a Dark Pit there. There we go. It was in 226. Viku was imprisoned by the Murky Devil during the first pillaging. So this is a site conquered. Yeah, so this is actually The Sienna Geysers actually got attacked somewhere, but not actually at Lance Sounded at that stage in the year 226. This is a tower in natural flings. So it looks like the tower is actually just defeated ultimately by goblins, like 75 years before we started to do anything. Anyway, let's go back to our story. So we'll just keep it sort of in through here. So that's So anyway, he's actually sort of been doing different things in through there as well. Brought back to life. Go back up the top again. So, Midwinter, again, brought back from the dead. So they're sort of raising the groups at Lance Sounded. So we end up with a zombification sort of aspect of sort of taking the site over. 118. So this is actually during the second conquest. So what's the second conquest? This is site conquered. The Kingdom of Trusting was the attacker versus the Yellow Quickness of the Sienna Geysers, so their defender. So this is actually, there's a second attack in 118. So the zombies weren't here for long. The Kingdom of Trusting, which is actually a civilization of humans. And so the actual humans tried to clean up the mess, attack the Yellow Quickness, which was the new site government. And Sienna Geysers, leader of the attack was a human. So just a human in through here. He died a while back. They don't live all that long. During the splattered assaults, so this is actually where we go as part of the conflict of mobbing, and place the human in. So at that stage, the humans have now come through, like the goodies have come in. They've defeated the Sienna Geysers. I didn't go into this depth before, actually, so this is all a bit new to me. Replace the human. So this one is a human into here, former baron. This one is actually just a standard human, not a necromancer. Onther is the actual former baron of the Walled Coalition. So this one, hang on, no, sorry, they placed this Baron Onther, in charge of Lance Sounded. The new government was called the Walled Coalition during the Second Conquest. So they've actually taken over Lance Sounded. So it went from the Dwarves to the Necromancers, human Necromancers, to the human government, sort of trying to clean up the what their undead brethren had actually then done. And so in this case, settled in. I'm sort of more as much. Here we go. This is now the Walled Coalition, which is now the new human government, constructed the Grooved Fortress. This is the keep that we see at the top. So when we arrive, that structure at the top of the fortress is actually the keep that the humans built. So the humans built that initial fortress. So Grim is saying, I'm curious, Daz, how do you make your farms in the cavern layer given a leaking roof? I'm not sure what you mean by a leaking roof. Oh, do you mean with the like if there's aquifers? I'm not sure, Grim. I'm not sure of what you mean. Anyway, so that they built the fortress at the top of everything that was going on. So Salvage, this is actually a male dwarf. Visited Lance Sounded to gather information. So we've got a spy that comes in basically 12 months after the actual after the construction of the fortress. Now Salvage, we can have a bit of a look to see who this guy actually is. What are you a member of? The Unseen Relic is a civilization of dwarves. Is that all you did? You're a former member of the site government, the Robust Urn. So this is just a standard dwarf coming back through. Oh, hang on. In 120, struck down by the roc. This is where we're going to start to see things sort of start to coincide here now. Anyway, so he's actually he's now visited to gather information. Here we go. Here's the next big attack. So even just a couple of years after they finished this fortress, in the year 120, the roc Tatlosh, Search Blossom, the Confident Vale of Fells attacked the Walled Coalition at Lance Sounded during the first rampage of the roc. Tatlosh, Search Blossoms in through there. So essentially a gigantic bird. Now these are as big as dragons, so these are monstrously large. I might just do a quick sketch of the roc so that we've got a few different things. What I could do actually is just sort of wall things off and like almost sort of like draw the bits and pieces. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just go and give that a bit of a go and see how we go. So I'll just go back into here And so I might, yeah, actually, no, I'll just draw bits and pieces. I'll get rid of this first one. I don't think we need to know that one. So and I'll just try to. So this is actually attacking the humans. So yeah, so or a lake above. No, there was no lake. Yeah, my cavern layer has a leak issues. Maybe from me hacking away the bottom of the. Yeah, that. Yeah, you got to block the aquifer. That's the way what you got to do and go and do. Because, hi Began, how you going? I've had my first fairly successful fortress. Everyone died once, but I reloaded an early save and saved them all. There we go. It's sort of funny. This one little thing can be the difference between death and success. So anyway, let's just go and again, I'm just going to be sort of fairly quickly sort of sketching these sorts of things. I'll just make this a fairly large. So essentially, the rock would be like it's just a massive bird. And actually, I'm probably not going to. I don't know if I should be doing these sketches because it is going to take a bit of time to sort of get things done with it. We'll sort of have the fortress. The fortress itself was like this will be up in the sky, so fortress sort of down below. The fortress is sort of nestled into an area in the mountains, so that we had sort of like mountains which were sort of extending back through. Yeah, I probably won't bother sketching actually, because I think this is just going to chew up. Wait, I'm sort of rushing too much to do much with it, so I don't think it's going to give us any sort of real context as to what's going on with the with everything. But the fortress is sort of like down below, and then we had the mountains. It was on the edge of the mountains. It sort of extended back off into the distance there. Anyway, we'll just sort of leave that one there. You need more artwork on hoodies and tees. Yeah, no. If I was going to do it properly, I'd be doing a bit different actually. What I'd be doing is I'd be doing a concept sketch, probably with a different pencil actually. The way I sort of normally would do it would be to sort of set up the concept sketch with to sort of get it right. But this would end up sort of then probably taking too much time. Actually, maybe it won't. But I wanted to sort of have like the rock sort of flying in. And again, I can just sort of draw the same sort of deal through here, just as a very basic sort of sketch, with the mountains sort of in the background there. And then what I did have actually, if I just go back in, I'll just change some of the colours and stuff. Like I think for when I was doing the sketches, I would give myself 10 minutes to try to draw something. So if I go into this one here, I think this is the one that I was then sort of using. Hang on, is that right? Yeah. Just make it a bit larger. So I was then sort of like sketching. Actually, I'll just make that a darker colour. So then I was sort of just trying to sort of very quickly draw. Actually, it wasn't even that one. It was trying to get my head now into where I was. I think it was this line. I've got like different sort of pens that I've sort of built over time. I think I was just sort of lino cutting. So the stuff that was sort of done for the hoodies and stuff like that was just using, I think, this pen here, which is sort of more like lino cut, which allows me to sort of sketch fairly quickly. See, that's not too bad. the little fortress sort of in the bottom there. Just make it a bit smaller. So they had sort of like a central road that sort of came in. So the humans had like a road that sort of extended back down across the into the actual fortress itself. You know, nestled in amongst the mountains. But anyway, that's yeah. Anyway, that'll do. I don't think I'll worry about doing the sketches. So we'll oops, Control Z. Yeah, we'll just do the history. Otherwise, it'll just take too long. So I'll just go back to screen grabs and just be done with it. Yeah, I'm going to be trying to rush too much if I do that. Okay, so Thought and Element saying I've just started watching the stream. What's going on? We're actually doing a retrospective of what actually happened. So I'll just spend the time going through the history here. This is going to be if you're looking for Dwarf Fortress content, this is not going to be Dwarf Fortress content. This is going to be the Legend content. So if you are watching this thinking, oh cool, we're going to be watching some Dwarf Fortress. No, we're going to be dissecting what happened, mainly around the year 300 to the year 302, which is when we actually had our group in there. I'll just get rid of all the drawing equipment. We don't need to have all that here in this case if we're not going to use it. All right, that's all good. Okay, let's keep on going into it. So Tatlosh, the rocs are massive birds in the game. So they're as big as dragons. So to put that into context, they're the biggest flying unit in the game as well. They're not. And they sort of set up lairs. Anyway, this thing, they go around sort of doing different things. So Tatlosh routed the Walled Coalition and destroyed Lance Sounder during the first rampage of the Rock. And so thanks, Beacon, for those gifted subs. It's very, very nice of you. Thank you for that one. So we've got during the first rampage of the Rock, so in this case here, we actually have a beast attack. So they attack the Rock on the Confident that Valor fell. So the humans were only here for a very short period, from 118, 2 years, enough for them to build their fortress at the top. So started working on as you can see there, they started working on the fortress and basically sort of, well, actually it looks like the dwarves had maybe sort of done most of it anyway, because they got it all finished in one day. So I'll still give the humans credit for that one. We'll say that the top level was the human level. Anyway, there was so different dwarves and things. If you have a look at the first rampage and through here, we're then going to get the information that actually did happen through this other side, where not a lot happened. Like in this case, a dwarf, Salvage. This is actually the dwarf that was spying. So the spy for the dwarves was actually killed during the rampage. The human Ontha this is the Baron, so he was struck down as well by the first rampage in through there. Tatlosh routed the Walled Coalition, so people actually then sort of ran away, and essentially would have been other. These are the notable deaths. So and destroyed Lance Sounder during the first rampage, and then it settled in the the same day. Basically, it came in and then took over the site, and so that is sort of where things sort of then leave it. Now this is Tatlosh doesn't do much else in the game other than just attack Lance Sounder. That's sort of what you can see through there. There's not a long history. Actually, that's just the first rampage. They do have a long history. So born in the year 31 and is still, negative 31. So the age is 333 and so still alive and has got 3 kids. And I think that they all live at land. Yeah, so the related sites, the locations tied this figure from settlements to strongholds of power. Unknown is where it is, but land sounded is the fortress that they actually have. They're of course an enemy with most things, with all the different groups that they've actually then gone and sort of done things. They've got a three children's, Torquay, Casper, and Nello. These are all the different rocs that she's had as babies. And so these, if we go and click on these, like Torquay is from the so this one here would have been born at Lance Sounded. So you can see born in 126 in the early summer. So that is it was 120 when she actually settled into Lance Sounded. So in this case, if we have a look at the related groups in through here, Unknown Fortress, Lance Sounded. So we still think that this is actually the settlement of power. If we have a look at this one, there won't be too much. So this is again little things actually happening even just a few years before we settled it. Dishmab confronted Torquay in Lance Sounded. So again, this is the fortress that we actually took over. Now, I think that I may have initially, with our first foray into Lance Sounded, I think I may have locked them downstairs. So I'm hoping that's the case. But now that we've actually lost the battle, everything will reshuffle around. So it could be that we actually go in again next time and actually confront these again. So this one, not a hell of a lot actually happened in through here. This one's actually got a couple of kills. Became an enemy of the robust Urn in the first rampage of Torquay. So in this case, this is the shot. So it attacked a place called Brush Standard. And stole. They steal things like this quartzite bracelet. Was stolen in Brush Standard by Torquay and brought to Lance Sounded. So Lance Sounded was actually essentially a rock treasure pit, a hoard for the rocs. And so they would go off and do different things. If we just go back out from Torquay, Casper. What's your history? Casper is also still alive. So this this one's also got a child, a male roc. Okay, maybe there's more rocs here than we think. Z-Pave, born in the year 172. When were you born? Okay, it's only a few years after. All right, so and we can see there their skills and stuff. So observer, fighter, biter, kicker, talented dodger. But these are monstrous. These are the size of a house, basically. So we've got in 208 the dwarf here was struck down by. So this is in 208, like different dwarves have come across them in Lance Sounded. So people are actually trying to sort of take over, or even just adventurers. Casper became an enemy in the first rampage, became an enemy of the Kingdom of Trusting during the first rampage in Friendly Larks. It's like a human hamlet. There's this one here, another hamlet. So they're just attacking small villages. So catgut meat was stolen in Friendly Larks and brought to Lance Sounded. Became an enemy of the Wheel of Appearances, which is a government of dwarves at Post Brushed. And in the Vault of Ivy. So this one here is sort of going around stealing things. Now there's 21 here. I'll just go and set up. I'll just get the 100 in through there. So you can see down through here, it's mainly going to be was wounded by Casper, was struck down by Casper. This is Doran Diamond Clout, female dwarf. This is in the year 250, so 50 years before we settled. Formed a false friendship with the elf in order to extract information in Leafbound. Don't know how a roc does that. Anyway, so it's actually Casper. Don't know how Casper actually ends up befriending these different guys. This is actually after we've moved in. So is Casper now living at Leafbound? I mean, they don't have to be at Lance Sounded. Creature devoured. So devoured the dwarf, Doran Diamond Clout. Yeah, that was all in the same one in through there. Formed a false friendship. There we go. Well, Leafbound is a forest retreat, so it seems to be behaving itself with the with the elves like pretending. So it may not, this one may not be back at Landsounded, although that is the one that it sort of is indicating where it actually is. So maybe it's sort of we've got Torquay as well. We didn't actually look at Torquay. This one here, we've got only 7 events. Is that the one we did? Maybe we did look at that one. Yeah, actually we did look at that one. Let's go to the back one, Yellow Rivers. So this one here, again, we're going to see Landsounded is going to be the related site where we think it actually is. This one doesn't have any kids. So we've got the Become an Enemy there with different rampages. Yep, so the Canyon Seduced the Sickness of Torment. These are artifact pants were stolen during this particular location. Made a family heirloom by Nello during the first rampage, and was stored in Landsounded again. So this is back in 211. And then we've got other people that were just struck down by Nello in Landsounded again. So this one looks like still living in Landsounded, but the last we know was from 20 years in the past. So that's all we know about that one there. If we have a look at Casper again, because we do actually have a kid. So this is and we've got the father as well, Marta Jump Skunk. This is another male rock. Where is this one located? Okay, the lair this is the actual lair. Goldstone's the Island of Vines. So this is actually an actual lair. So this one, if we went there, we would confront the rock if he was still around. Yes, he is still around. So that one is, so the father is actually at an actual lair. The unknown fortress, Landsounded, is the only related site that the others have. They may not be there. And they've got this one's got a kid as well. Zapiv, born in 130. And again, we can sort of see the various, we've got, this is the father. So we've got the father back in through here again of this one. Let's just see where these are located. The lair is Denny. So that one's actually got its own lair. And the father is this one here, which is still alive as well. So there's a lot of rocks in this world. And it's got a layer of hide mosses. So these are all in their own different layers, but we still think the others the others don't seem to have a layer as such. So they must still be in Landsounded, I would guess, would be my guess for that one. We were just lucky that we didn't come across them. So anyway, that's the various rocks that then took over the location. And just go all the way back out to our list of events again. Let's go back to 50. So we've got the 116, and then we sort of come back through. So we've got in 211, you're struck down by the rocks. There'll be lots of these different confrontations. So the rocks were here for a good 100 years. So the rocks actually have sort of been using this as their lair. Okay, then we've actually got, so the last we know is in the year 296, before we actually came to settle it. The Dishmab mine hero was struck down by the rock, Torquay, again in Landsounded. Then we get our group. In the year 300, our group in through here. So the Chamber of Jails, so this is actually the site government, of the Unseen Relic. This is the actual civilization that we were part of. Launched an expedition to reclaim Landsounded. The early spring, the Dragster settled in Landsounded. And so we'll end up with the first 7. So it was Dragster. What else happened in through here? Alta Buffalo, Sick, Orangutan's Library, Sev, Tailsly Fox, and Private Joe. And then soon afterwards, we then actually ended up, we got different dwarves visiting. Why were they? And then was asset settled. This was actually one of the, this was someone to hunt. You can see down there we've got a female murderous ghost now is all that's left of that particular one. So died in the year 300. This one actually kept on going through. So Orangutan's Library became the clerk. Different things actually then visited. We don't need the visits. I wish I could filter them off. I don't know if I can. What's that one do? I think it just, does that open it? I think it opens it up in a separate thing. I don't think I can actually just filter out the visitations. Anyway, we'll just keep on going back through. Chaos settled in there. A Space Pants settled as well. This is still in the year 300. Okay, so, and then we've got the different things like Chaos created a masterful phyllite pot. The Dwarf Private Joe died of thirst in Landsounded. How did that happen? What actually happened with Private Joe? I remember it sort of vaguely. Worshipped Reg the True was what actually happened in through here. So became a member, settled. Then it like died of thirst. Now I think that was when we were trying to establish a hospital, and Private Joe somehow got injured. I think Private Joe. This is our first death. Was there was different troglodytes that came in, and so with the actual with what actually happened through there, I think he fell off. I think he was the first one to fall off. He was injured, and then we designated a hospital, and I shouldn't have designated the hospital. As soon as I designated but didn't actually have access to water, no one could actually give him water. So he basically died of thirst, waiting for someone to go and help him. And we almost did it, I'm pretty sure. I think we almost got there. If we go back into the game and have a bit of a look, if we have a look at the aquifers, if I just sort of go back up again, the first hospital that we actually had was, and this is where a hospital ended up, but the first hospital we actually ended up having, trying to fix Private Joe up, was at the top of the fortress. And so in this case, we ended up going all the way up to the top in through here. And so is that Private? That's not Private. Yeah, that is Private Joe's ghost. So this is Private Joe's ghost is now haunting the fortress. Because I think I did actually have, this is a memorial to Sev, to Zasset. So there we go. This is actually Private Joe's memorial was actually in through here. So this is a superior quality memorial in memory of Private Joe, died of thirst in the year 300 at one with the great white shark leather. I love what they write on these little things. What does Sev say? Died after colliding with an obstacle in the year 300. Okay, we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one, and then we'll come back. I don't have some of these have been knocked over and destroyed by the goblins, but some of them are still actually here, where we sort of had been trying to sort of settle the different ghosts. Anyway, Private Joe's ghost is still actually right there. So no, we haven't got to that yet. We're still miles away. So we'll just keep on sort of delving our way deeper. So anyway, that's what happened to Private Joe's. Hang on. In 302 early summer, the dwarf incognito was scared to death by Joe with a silver arrow in Landsounded. Scared to death with a silver arrow. All right, we'll get to that. 302. So this is where it came back to life. Came back from the dead once more, this time as a murderous ghost. Right, so when we actually come back in, Private Joe is going to be there to trying to kill people. This is like different ghosts come back for different reasons. Private Joe has just come back into the actual fortress, literally during the fight that we had. I'm thinking, and so this is actually that'll be interesting, but as a murderous ghost this time, not just as a ghost. And is going to be trying to kill people. So Incognito was actually killed. We might have a deeper dive into some of these guys. This could be fun. Creating masterful things we don't need to know about. There's going to be a lot of things that were actually sort of happening in through here. This is the one we just were looking at. This is in the year 300 in the 07 months. So in the at the end of summer. So it goes. Spring is 1, 2, 3. Actually, no, this must be the start of autumn. So early autumn. There we go. Early autumn, 13th of limestone. So died after colliding with an obstacle in Landsounded. Now, what was happening there is if we go back and have a look at the fortress again, we can then sort of see that. Where are we? This was Sev, wasn't it? No, that's Prophet Joe. That's Sev there. So in memory of Sev, born in 238, died after colliding with an obstacle in the year 300, militia commander of the Chamber of Jails, slayer of troglodytes, lover of the steel of colour. And so Sev actually ended up with doing a few different things into here. Let's just go back and have a look at and the troglodytes is the key here. So Sev met his demise at the bottom of the pit of doom. He was the first actual victim to fall down the pit, and so he ended up falling from here from memory all the way down through this area and died here. And so this is where Sev. You can see this is Sev. Just the ghostly mace dwarf is actually still here. So Sev has come back. Like he's not a murderous ghost. He's just a ghost. And these ghosts will just sort of hover around until they're put back to rest. And so in this case, Sev is down here. This is actually where he died. So he fell to the bottom of this fortress, bottom of the pit of doom, before we started building in the various floors and things. So we put these floors and things into this here because it was we ended up losing too many dwarves to the actual to things that were going on through there. But if we have a look and see. He'll be worth having a look down. Sev. Let's have a look and see Sev's history. So this one here is, he also is a worshipped Reg the True. So in this case, we only have 8. He became the militia commander. I was going through the different kills and things that he had. And then again, basically, just before everything sort of started to happen, came back from the dead as a forlorn haunt. Actually, this time he is a murderous ghost. So now he was put to rest in Lance Sounded in 301, but he's been revived. I think in the late spring, came back from the dead once more. This time as a murderous ghost in Lance Sounded, and so maybe we're going to find other things that will then actually sort of happen. So this is actually was scared to death by Sev. Right, so we're going to have to deal with both these ghosts. So I think there's only the 2 ghosts that were actually in the fortress at this point in time, but they're going to be trying to kill off whatever dwarves we send back in. So that's of interest to us, big interest actually. So when we come back in a couple of days' time, we will definitely have a look at that. All right, so not a big history there, but Sev was fighting troglodytes at the time, and the troglodytes were kept on wandering in. And we had to try to lock them off, but we still had to try to. They're not dangerous as such. Our military could deal with them, but our military kept on sort of jumping out of the way and jumping into the pit of doom. Okay, so merchants visited. That's all okay. Then we've got Zaradin, Private Joe settled again. So we've got a second Private Joe. Vinyl Rabbit settled as well. So we got these were sort of like the various additions. Records of Authors was destroyed in Lance Sounded. This is an artifact book. Records of Author. I don't know what this one. Okay, this is the current holder is Serian. The creator was Serian. So Serian created this one. What happened in here? Yeah, so this was in 241. An artifact. The Records of Author was created in Sisterverse by the dwarf Serian, and then in 300 was destroyed in Lance Sounded. Why would she destroy it? She ripped her book up. Let's look at Serian's history. Former mayor from 302 to 302, so maybe just during the siege, I would guess. I mean, we can sort of just delve a little bit into as they sort of come up, I guess. Become a bard. Settled in Sisterverse. Was authored. So different books were authored by Serian. So we've got Began, became lovers of Began in 251. Basic Picks was authored there again. Got married to Began, settled in settled in Sisterverse in order to be with the Master. I don't know what the Master is. So we see Mongers was authored. So this one is a lot of authoring going on through here. Visited different places, and then finally settled in Lance Sounded. Became a member of the Chamber of Jails. Became a doctor in Lance Sounded. So fought in the Crazed Onslaught. So in 302, and became one of the last mayors of of the fortress in the final days. Maybe even the very last mayor. Is possibly what actually happened there. Let's just go back out again. So this is that's the history of that particular little location. If we go back up, does it go through who the mayors were? Maybe not. They're probably not high enough level to get a list of who was in charge. So anyway, we've got the where do we get down to? Yep. So then we got another. Orangutans became Tailsly Fox, died after colliding again. So this is another one that died in the year 300. And this will be other different bits and pieces where, if you have a bit of a look and see the history, settled in Landsat, died after colliding with an obstacle. And again, that would have been hounded to his death by the troglodytes, basically, but just by jumping out of the way of troglodytes. Human visited, yep, sick, became a doctor. Chaos settled, Space Pants settled, Creators of Mars, yeah, so we've got all these different things, died of thirst. Actually, we've already done all that. Yeah, where did we get up to? Syrian became a doctor, yeah, we've done all that stuff. Different masterful things which we don't need. So Private Joe becomes a stonecrafter. Alright, next little grouping in through here. So the restless haunt dwarf Zasset was put to rest in Lance Sounder. We see the this one is also now a murderous ghost somewhere, but I'm not sure where. We may have put that one back to rest properly, hopefully. Maybe not, because I think if their tombs become disturbed, which is what the goblins did when they came in, we're going to have to protect these better when we actually build these things up. Yeah, so this is in 301. As it came back from the dead, there it was put to rest, pretty much within days. So we actually then did sort of honour the dead properly. Okay, then we've got Tarsly Fox settled, Sicko 2 settled. So we've got a Falcon settled. So there's a lot of dwarves that sort of then came back through. Art of Stuttering settled into here as well. Began 02. Now Began, what happened to Began 01? Oh, hang on, no, I think we allowed extras to come in at that stage because we had a lot of unnamed. There's Sevo 4. These were being named, I think, afterwards in retrospectively, just as we needed to sort of fill the military. So that's why they're sort of there with still having the other ones in the actual list of things as well. Again, creating masterful different bits and pieces. Mr. Voxy was possessed, but then would have created the playful crosses. There's artifact shoes. Was stored in Lance Sounded as well. So we stored them down the bottom where the rocs had stored their stuff. So we sort of ended up making use of the hoard of the rocs. Sev that came back from the dead, became a stone cutter. Now Sev should have been put to rest. Yeah, it says male murderous ghost. Well, that's actually still there, I think. So Dwarven settled. So we've got a whole heap of different people that then came in and settled into the actual fortress itself. Again, in 301. Go back up the top of this page. Yeah, heaps of people came in this particular wave. So we ended up getting quite a big fortress by this stage. Yeah, Sev was then put to rest in Lance Sounded. The dwarf Falcons became a stonecutter. Sev, is that the previous Sev? Where did we go? There we go. Yes, it was put to rest. This will be a second Sevo. This will be like Sevo 2, I think. Zaradin became a carpenter. Lots of people, doing masterful earrings and so on and so forth to sell, which so it's notable, but nothing we really need to be looking at. I wish I could, there probably is a way for me to filter these things out to just have. Is there anything at the top here? What is that? I think it just makes it bigger. Events, you've got the types. A date is what we want it sorted by. We can just delve in deeply when we sort of see different things that actually do happen. It's happening through here. So it's toned pulley. So this is an artifact grate. It was built and stored. Became a carpenter. Became a bard. North Rex settled. Yep, settled. So we got a lot of this Sevo 3 eventually. So these would be named when the fighting was going on, I think, as people died. So I won't worry too much about who settled where. This is the third Began that settled at this point in time as well. I mean, we end up killing most of these people anyway. This is getting closer now to the to where action sort of starts to happen. Again, I won't worry about your merchants again. Came in 301. Became a thresher. Yeah, just creating all sorts of different masterful bits and pieces. So life was good at this stage. We've got day costers and end up sort of then getting into Fey mood and then created another artifact. So we're getting a few different artifacts. So there's an artifact crown. Again, masterful, different bracelets and crowns and so on and so forth. Yeah, someone became a butcher there. Yeah, so this was just as we were sort of building the fortress up. We're now into 302, just before everything starts to go wrong. All right, so in the now okay, so we've got merchants in the 16th of the 2nd 302, merchants from the First Vale, so this is a civilization of elves, basically visited us at Lance Sounded. 4 or 5 days later, the goblins obviously followed them in. So the West Plague, so this is, we'll find out more about these guys as well. Now they've got civilization of goblins. They've got lost sites. That's interesting. Why is that? Current site's only 1 for the First Vale. This one doesn't have anything. This is just a group. Attacked the Chamber of Jails. As the leader of the attack was the goblin Moby Cherished Adored. We'll have a look at these different guys because the West. We'll look at West Plague as an actual group. We're not seeing where they're from here. Like we're not getting any indication. This is their war graph as to where things actually did go on. So there's all sorts of different humans attacking them. There's them attacking off to different dwarves coming back through here. So fairly aggressive little group. So these are different wars that they actually ended up having. Now they've got the last one will be the, I'm guessing us, yeah, the gory conflict of ransacking is exactly what did actually happen. So they've actually got like their master is Esther, Thief Curled, High Executioner. So I'm not seeing the names in through there. Master of Beasts, Chief Counselor, Keeper of the Seal. So I don't think any of their high level guys actually came to the fortress. Lost sites, so they've actually lost different sites over time, a hell of a lot of them. So these are the different sites that were once under their control. Relating factions and groups. Nomadic group, I think, is what actually attacked us, like a group that just sort of wanders around. It's on a site government. So does it say at the top here what this one actually is? Oh, the West Plague is a civilization. We'll have a look at them and see the actual group. And then there's going to have a big, long history. 400 odd things in through there. List of chronicles. This is the different major battles and so on and so forth. They've got a lot there as well. We won't worry about those either. Let's just go back up again. And so the West Plague, it is a civilization, but I think it must be a group. So who's Momi Cherished Adores? This is the actual member of the civilization, the West Plague, but this is not associated with any site government. So and here we go. We've got to so only 3 entries in through here. So this was just put in charge. So the West Plague attacked the Chamber of Jails in 302. Leader of the attack was Momi. So Momi fought in the. So this is in the same day. Momi fought in the crazed onslaught, an assault on Lance Sounded. A few days later, in the 302, we'll do more of this in a minute. Momi bled to death, slain by the dwarf Began with an iron spear in lance sounded. Now, this is a funny one because in our fight, let's just go back up the top here, because this was diabolically bad for us. We had constructed a little keep in here. We'd just done it just in time to actually stop the goblins. The goblins were sort of coming down off the slopes, so they were sort of wandering in down this way. So they wandered across, and we'd put up inside our fortress. We'd put up doors here, wooden doors. I didn't realise that the siege guys can actually break their way through doors. Anyway, so they started to bash them open. So we quickly we were quickly trying to build a door in here. So I had my military waiting in here, Began being one of the spear dwarfs. I then ordered them to come back down into this room just to get them away from the fight, because we were going to seal this. But instead of going back inside, Began, the first Began, ran up when this door opened. And so Began came outside here, and we'll find that there's a goblin mangled skeleton in through there. We've got there's Momi's mangled skeleton there, over through this other side, and there is Began's mangled skeleton there. So Began actually went out and fought with them. But the trouble here is that Began took out all of his iron helmet, the spear, all the copper boots, the shield. We only had 3 shields in the whole fortress to help us. So I wanted any deaths to occur where I could get the equipment. Began actually charged out with the best of all of the equipment and ended up killing their leader, Momi, but actually in the process got himself killed as well. He was actually eventually, we'll see this in a minute, but he was eventually shot to death by archers, I think, because he'd lost his ability to walk by this stage. So he was even here when he was fighting Momi, he was actually on the ground crawling, from what I can remember. So that was a pretty cool little event, but the fact that all of that valuable equipment wasn't here where I could get access to it became a major problem, because we then stopped. We'd lost one of our 3 suits of armor essentially. The best of the equipment was now outside and lost to us, which was really, really frustrating. Anyway, that's what happens with Began, doesn't it? The adventures of Began. So anyway, that's what happened there essentially. So Momi doesn't sort of go into detail, but that was what actually happened. We'll go back and we'll sort of look at Began in a minute as we do the different deaths. It was bled to death. So one of the first deaths actually in the fortress. So Began bled to death as well, slain by the goblin Smatsu, menaced palace by an iron spear. So this one here, if we look at Began now and look at his little history, there won't be too much in through this other side. So legendary herbalist, did have a baby at the time in the fortress. So came here with his wife at this stage, who I forget the name of that one was. We've got war buddies, different war buddies in through here. These were these must have been before he moved in. So a certain and loosely documented association with the figure's life. Didn't realise that this was going on. Former spouse, Oodle, child, and then another Syrian was the last one through there. This one here, born in 302. Oh, that's from Syrian, I think. We'll get there in a minute. So worshipped Ibmat, race seeker, the cavernous, and so and then actually had a bit of a history, and we can sort of go all the way back, to the different bits and pieces, fought in different locations. So Began was one of the soldiers that we brought into the fortress. So Began, so it broke up there. Began visited Bush Standard, visited face breaches, blah, 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 recruited monks into the Rumid Order. So this is interesting. So he's part of some sort of religious group. So he's got a bit of a history here. So had a lover in through there. They broke up in 230, so well before anything actually happened. recruited monks into the Rumid Order there again as well. Visited different places. So he sort of had a bit of a religious but sort of wandering past, doing different bits and pieces. Met Serion in 251. So after the divorce, divorced and met on the same day. That's all right. Married 3 years later. Still recruiting monks into the Rumid Order. What is this religious group? Yeah, I'm not seeing. There's nothing notable there. So, but he was just helping them out, I guess. It's just his. He believed in that god. In 268, yeah, this is where they became war buddies. Actually, I'll just go and do all of the different events in through here. War buddies fought in the Siege of Chaos, yeah, in different locations. More war buddies in through here in 287. And then was one of the was he one of the early ones? So he's got a lover in through there. Now that's actually interesting. So he's already married, but he's now got another lover. Settled in Lance-Sounded. Here we go. So he was not in the first group. So he comes in, becomes a member, fought in the Crazed Onslaught in defence of Lance-Sounded. So he wasn't one of the initial warriors, but he did actually have a history of being able to fight. So that's why he would have been recruited in. And then bled to death by the goblin Smatsu Menace Place. Now I think that these still are alive. Yeah, age 171. This one, the archers made it out. So this one here didn't actually end up dying. Just basically, the only thing this one did was with an iron spear. Smatsu actually did survive. This one would have been trapped underground, which is why there's no real long history with that one through there. All right, back we go. So we've got Began, bled to death by that goblin in through there. We've got the struck down by the goblin. Yep. Tosid. So we're going to have a lot of. I'll just go through the named ones when we sort of see them. Go back up the top. So this is where there's going to be a lot of death and destruction going on. Negosu was struck down by a dwarf with an iron short sword in Lance-Sounded. So we are fighting back. Solon, slain by the dwarf. Now they did actually have some dwarves themselves. So they actually had some dwarves attacking with the goblins. Sev was struck down by the goblin Bax monster friend with an iron spear. Now Sev, a big long family tree in through here of different groups. Okay, so we've got mother. Yeah, no one named there. Don't think. Shio, actually, there we go. Former spouse, deceased spouse. Yep. All right. So there was one of the other named units in through this other side. 16. I'll just go back in. Don't know if I can change the defaults to just be a bigger number. So just go settle, become a weaver. Fought in the Crazed Onslaught and defensive Lance-Sounded, was struck down by the goblin Bax monster friend, who was still alive as well. Death. Struck down by Alta Buffalo. Alta Buffalo was ultimately one of the was actually the last of the actual military dwarves that were left in the fortress. So then we keep on going back down through. Yep. So Sev come back to dead once more. This time as a murderous ghost in Lance-Sounded. Shot and killed by the goblin with a copper arrow. So this is, again, we've got different, this is an engineer. There's some in particular that I wanted to find out because there's one that died around here that I just didn't know. So Falcons, again, we've got a few different groups there. They actually live with the elves for a short period. Reds the True again, the dwarven deity. Okay, so attacked by a Minotaur in the early days in Sculpted Shoot. Let's have a look and see. Just sort of go back through. So again, a big long history here before coming to our fortress. Yeah, it was killed in through there. So did nothing much in our actual fortress. I mean, it would show up if it was going to be there. Okay, so there's going to be a whole lot of different sorts of deaths in through this other side. What I'll do is I'll probably just skip past. We'll just look at them. So we've got so Private Joe was shot and killed by the goblin with an iron arrow. This is Private Joe 02, I think. Falcons was shot in through that side. Cause Lord was shot and killed. So these were all going out trying to trying to defend the fortress, but with no equipment because the equipment was now all outside. So Boland was shot and killed again. So these iron arrows, by this stage the goblins had got inside. So what had actually happened here is the goblins then took over this top section, and we also had we had only just constructed this gate through here, and so they also had like a group of them had come running down into this other side. In fact, you can see there's copper bows and things. Actually, it was in here that this fight happened. The goblins made their way back through this area, so this was all open. We were trying to sort of trap them if we could, but we'd only just constructed this. We'd also just constructed this as well. We did have some of the various goblins came through this little trap pit, but no one really got hurt through here, so it was a bit useless. They never made it to here. We managed to put this wall up before they could actually go and do it, but they did get to here before we could actually sort of go and close everything off. And so there's a lot of carnage in through here where different people ended up sort of being killed. We'll sort of find this, I think, yeah, there's Boland's mangled body there, Cause Lord's mangled body. So these guys here were sort of defending the last-ditch defense of the fortress. But this was a controlled area where we could actually then at least get the equipment back. But you can see there we didn't actually pick up all the stuff. Iron short swords and stuff are still sort of sitting on the ground. So no one ever really got to pick up the equipment again. So that's where that one all happened. Yep, so Cause Lord was shot and killed. Cause Lord I don't think will actually have much of a military history. If we have a bit of a look. Yep, recruited monks again. Recruited monks. And pretty much just fought and died. Fought and died. That's all really sort of happened in through there. You can see there's no real competent hammerman, but not really. The skill level was pretty low, to be honest. So we'll just go back down that way. Yeah, Private Joe was out there. Boland, shot and killed. Boland with the same sort of thing. By this stage, we were cobbling together whoever we could get to join the military, just to sort of to get involved. So no real, nothing really happening back in through there. I became a member of the Hall of Valleys. What's that? Guild. Okay, so it did actually join the site government and then joined the guilds that we had set up back in the location. All right, so that was Boland. Then we've got again more sort of unknown dwarves being shot down. Here we go. So this is actually now Amxu was struck down by the dwarf Alta Buffalo. Now this is actually one of the ones that was coming in and so Alta Buffalo was finished off being able to kill off the goblins that were actually happening, like that were coming back through. In fact, if we have a look at Alta Buffalo's history, this will be an interesting history in terms of the of our fortress. So if we just go back through, it says only 19, but there should be, yeah, so maybe it didn't do that many kills. Yeah, no, it killed a lot of them. Like Bax, Monsterfin was actually struck down with iron battle axe. Zamsu was struck down, and Song was also struck down by Alta Buffalo, but then eventually was struck down by the goblin Snodno Doom Begins. So this one here with the copper spear and lance sounded. So this one, it finally met its fate. pretty much on the same day as these last lots of attacks. And so I think that this was actually, was this one of the, let's have a look and see what this guy is. This is one of the goblins. So, spearman's, okay, this one's, yeah, this one I think was one of the, you can see there, this, the skill level is way higher than what most of ours actually have. And so this was actually one of the guys that was actually on the siege engine, I think. And you can see there, look, this one, look at all the kills this thing's got. Struck down by. This thing went on an absolute rampage and killed a lot of the guys in the fortress. So this may have even been one of the ambushes. Like there were some hidden units around. It may be that one, but I don't think it was. I think this was actually on the siege engine. And again, just really, really good fighter. So that's Alta Buffalo's little checkered history there. So we've got another Mr. Voxy with an iron battle axe. Actually managed to strike down this one. Have a look at Mr. Voxy and just sort of see what actually happens into this other side. Struck down again with a silver warhammer. You can see down through here like legendary siege operator, but when we have a look at the actual fighting abilities, competent axeman 1800, which is basically just has picked up an axe. That's pretty much it. So we've got the now this is interesting, close relationships. Apprentice, the zombie human, former master, bard. So it was a bard there. Oh, I think that this is someone who became a zombie after trying to become a bard. Okay, all right. Let's have a bit of a deeper dive into Mr. Voxy's history here. So yeah, picked up some different lovers in through here. Became a shearer. Became a bard. Began an apprenticeship under the human. So this one is going to be a human bard. Settled in through there. Yep, so it started to author different things as well. Authored, ceased being the master of the human. Yeah, this one here is, now that one, ceased being the master. When did he become a great bard? Oh, I settled into Notch mentions to become, in order to be with the master. Okay, this is, I began an apprenticeship. Okay, so then left. So left from the apprenticeship. Ceased being with the master. Okay, that's fine. Became the master of the human. So this one now went off and sort of did his own thing. And so this is a former master of the robust of gorging, a male zombie human. So this was back in 230. Before this one became a zombie, I would guess. Let's have a look and see when this one becomes a zombie. Okay, so had a bit of a checkered history back in through here. What was it? It's around here somewhere that he ended up becoming a bard. Tame different creatures. That was before all this. Anyway, it was in 290. It's a side government. Rat became the master. Disturbed. Okay, here we go. Was disturbed from eternal rest by the dwarf Logum, which is a... okay, so this one did come back to life. Yeah, so basically it was not sure when. Became supernatural grudges. All right, so anyway, it was entombed at Jugger dabbling with the... okay, this is a tomb. So died of... Okay, so Rhett died of old age at that stage and then came back to life. That was after the events of joining in with the Where was it? Where was it? Was it became the master of the human? This is in well and truly before when Rhett was still a young person, youngish person. So 21 years old. So before becoming a necromancer. So becoming a zombie. Became a zombie after the after dying of old age. So getting to live twice. So Mr. Voxy sort of so nothing to do with Mr. Voxy had nothing at all to do with necromancy. Now in this case, this is interesting because Rhett comes back to attempt to corrupt Mr. Voxy in order to have someone to act on plots and schemes in Notchmansons. The zombie human Rhett met with Mr. Voxy and while completely misreading the situation, made a threat. The plan failed. So Mr. Voxy kept true, true and straight. Well done, Mr. Voxy. So visited him through there again, visited. I love just how deep we had no idea about this when Mr. Voxy was in our fortress. The fact that this was his old, you can imagine like a comic book, built around a bard who takes on an apprentice. The apprentice goes off, dies of old age, is resurrected, and then comes back to try to corrupt him on behalf of the necromancers. Hi, Battle Mode, how are you going? Saying, what state is Dwarf Fortress in right now, would you say? So the incredible, actually. It really is unbelievable just how good the game actually is. It's just amazing. So I didn't realise that the stuff about the intrigue, plans, schemes was in already. Oh, yes, it's been in for a couple of years now. It's been in for a long time. So what actually happens is there's criminal organisations. Like if we do a deep dive into Rhett, so Mr. Voxy in 230 becomes the master of this. He takes him on as an apprentice. Rhett then goes off, dies of old age, and then comes back to life as the zombie. So this is the zombie human. So if you have a look at Rhett again and just sort of see what actually has gone on with this one through here. So it'll have a the master was the dwarf Mr. Voxy, but there'll be another master. It should be deceased spouse. It's not showing it there. It's funny. It's not actually showing the what actually happened with him coming back to life. Just go back in again. Just open all of these up. So in this case, we've got the so it was attacked in different places. So it was certainly involved in a lot of different bits and pieces. Fought in different attacks. 276 became tamed creatures. So it must have been really good at taming things. Tamed a giant mosquito in the Forest of Spite. Made the journey. Tamed creatures. Quicksilver Cotus. Married in 284, but died of old age. He was entombed at Juggerdabbling within the Grave of Praises, which is a tomb. So this is actually a tomb inside a tomb. Okay, so then Rhett and the dwarf Logum Spearkindled, which is a mercenary. This one must have been buried at the same tomb, I guess. Became Supernet. I've never heard of that before. So this is actually interesting. Now, was disturbed from eternal rest by the dwarf Logum Spearkindled. So this is a mercenary. Now that's Logum. Okay, this is actually where it's been disturbed in through here. Now Logum is still alive actually. So this one's actually a living female dwarf mercenary crossbowman. In 287, so this one was disturbed from eternal rest. Now, what's Logum? Again, we can just keep on doing these deep dives. So still alive. Legendary ambusher, legendary tracker. This is legendary mode in through here. Okay, member of the site government, the Twinkling Sabres. Yeah, this was probably a criminal, I would guess. The fact that we've got such high ambushing and tracking skills, maybe. So again, this will have like a bit of. This one's got a long history of doing different things. So we've got these people are living around the place were stolen. So here we go. So it was got things like Phantom Tome, was an artifact ring, was stolen from Rack Shadows in Abbey Night by Logum. So this is like a master thief. So this one just goes around and so River Shore was stolen by Logum, was offered to the human in through here, was stolen from the Deserts of Rasping in Sheltered Moss, so must have given it up and then stolen it back again, basically on the same day. And it was re-offered to somebody else. Then just, so he keeps on stealing all these different things. How did you get involved in this one? So we became a war buddy in through there. Logum gave up being a hunter to become a mercenary in Starf Valley, which is a helix. So this one just becomes sort of like one of the hired hunters. So Tribe Gullies. Now, did he steal other things beforehand? Or not really? While defeated, the latter escaped unscathed. Okay, so managed to get away from these different fights. So, that's when he was a little kid. So, back up through here, became war buddies. So, I don't know if this is just a natural bent that he has. Purchase well-crafted equipment. So sort of getting better equipment. Then started stealing things. Really focus on this River Shore. Keeps on stealing it year after year. And then offering it to different people for money. Phantom Tomb was stolen from. This is from a sewers. So you can see it's stealing different things from different. Like this is from a tavern. This is from a different tavern. So sewers back in through here. Was stolen from an abbey, so a temple, another tavern. So stealing all these different things and then offering them back up to different people. So purchase more good equipment. So you get a bit of a mental picture of what this person was like. But this one just operates on its own. So this one here, as it goes back through, there's grass pit. If we have a look at the year of, was it around 290 that we had Reg? Let's have a look and see where he disturbs the tomb. Grass pit is catacombs. That's not the one. So he's actually, she's gone in and actually, it's a she. Yeah, we've still got more stuff going on. This is, purchasing exceptional equipment now. So just getting better and better. It's funny the stories that will end up coming out of this one. It's just really interesting. And again, this had nothing to do with our fortress, but it's just fascinating to see just how much stealing I forget there's different catacombs and things. So basically you end up starting to sort of take artifacts from, so this is like an ancient artifact. There's River Shore again. This, is it the same one? Anyway, where is it? And if we just keep on going back through, it's 290 something. So the Abyss of Spasms, it's more catacombs. Just trying to, here we go. So in 287, the Lucid Escort, which is some artifact shoes, were stolen from the Grave of Praises in Jabberdaling. This is the tomb that we're talking about. So we've got, in Disturb the Grave of Praises, so the tomb, and then was offered, the Lucid Escort, these shoes were then offered on the same day to the dwarf Were-Camel song. So we've got a Were-Camel in through here, which did die in 301 actually. So this one has been killed in the time that we were actually in the fortress. Fought, fought a little bit of time later. Now when did it disturb it must have been back then that it actually disturbed Reg's location, because this is actually now catacombs again. So it's sort of gone back into the catacombs. So it had like a bit of a haunt that it would go through. But it's but this one is a lone, basically a lone thief, not part of any sort of criminal organisation. But there are criminal organisations. So in this case, disturbed from eternal rest by the dwarf Logum through here in Jabberdaling, became the master of the robustness of gorging. Now, it says a site government of humans, but this has only got one event for this whole thing. So this one here will have come back from the dead, but this is the master, like the master of this particular location, and we can't see again exactly where this one is located. Zombie human ret, and so this one will be became the master. So this is actually literally just a he's come back as a zombie at this point, not raised from the dead, which is interesting. It's got supernatural grudges. I don't know how that one actually does work, but anyway, this one's now got a grudge against Logum, and Logum is still alive. And so after he came back to life, tempted to corrupt the goblin to have law enforcement look the other way. In dislocation, met with the goblins, completely made a threat. The plan failed. So this is where he met Mr. Voxy again. To have someone to. So this is when Mr. Voxy's still living in Notch Mason's mansions, and so on and so forth. And so it just continues on where he's just trying to basically survive. And so even in 299, attempted to corrupt the goblin, to have law enforcement look the other way. So plan failed. Plan worked here. So it was corrupted to act on plots and schemes in Fair Paddles under the influence of Ret. So Ret is somewhere like living in this. Fair Paddles is a helix. So Ret will be sort of around that location, I would guess. But he's sort of this robustness of gorging is essentially a human, it's a one necromancer trying to make his way as a bit of a lone criminal organisation, but he's on his own. So Mr. Voxy sort of rejects this one, and then just continues on through basically visiting different locations. Had different relationships, and then finally settles in Lance Sounded with us at this point in time. Visiting different locations along the way before actually becoming where we are. So created the Playful Crosses, which is artifact shoes, and fought again. The Goblin was struck down by Mr. Voxy with an iron battle axe, and aggro was also. So Mr. Voxy did pretty well there in the end for a bard. So does it say he's still a bard? Yeah, bard axeman, a bard axeman. Or that's what she is. Yeah, so she's a female dwarf, struck down by the goblin with a silver war axe in Lance Sounded. It's all sort of happening on the same day. All right, so that's Mr. Voxy's end. Let's go back up to the rest of where we actually are. How do we get to Mr. Voxy? We continue on. There we go. Struck down by the dwarf. Chaos, creating masterful things even while the battles were raging on. At this stage in the fight, I actually thought we were going to be okay. Yes, and we've seen poor Red only lasted with his wife for 2 years before carking it into a zombie. It's so interesting, isn't it? It's so interesting, just the way it sort of does work. How big a map would you generate for this? Just the standard medium size for me. I've got my own settings. By the way, guys, if you do want to get the settings that I use to get these sorts of weird zombie stuff actually happening, is more so than a standard game, like a lot more. If you just go to ko-fi.com/DasTactic, you will find... I normally start these things off by trying to show these. If you just go to the shop that's in here, don't worry, it doesn't cost anything. So if I go across, there's the battle mode 4x list for the interaction that we had there before. But if we just go into shop, now this is actually where I'm logged in. There we go, shop. You'll find there's all sorts of different stuff in through here. So there's scripts in through here, Dwarf Fortress work orders, which makes sort of running the fort a lot easier. But there's also stuff like the where are we? Yeah, this is the world generation settings in through here. So this here, if you go and click on this one, this then has, so this is a Dwarf Fortress World Generation file that is savage and evil. So it creates a lot more of these sort of evil interactions than what you'd expect before. So it just goes through how to sort of set it up. It's really, really easy to actually add it in. So it's, it's just, you just got to put it in a certain location and then it's there. And then you just sort of use that to generate your world. And it just creates a lot more evilness in the actual world itself. So coffee.com/DasTactic is the one there. And you just put 0 in there and you just download it. So costs you nothing, unless you want to buy me a coffee, of course. Hence the name, coffee.com. I just put on my mods there because it sort of it updates. Like if I do an update, I can just update stuff in there. All right, so well, we're back to here. We don't want to be looking at this. We go back into, where are we? Dwarf Fortress. Sorry, I was back where I needed to be anyway. Legends Viewer. So, okay, then we've got creating Serene Plague 02. So by this stage, we're now sort of, I think we've now sort of lost a few of the guys, become a planter. Okay, so in the this we've got the restless haunt dwarf Zasset came back from the dead once more. This time as a murderous ghost in Land Sounded. So Zasset is the one again. If we just go back in, actually, I'll just make this so I can get this one a bit more easily. Zasset was put to rest out here. Now Zasset was never somebody. He's a Private Joe. This is Zasset, born in struck down by a giant Om. Love clothes in the year 300, slayer of goblins, devoted mother, admirer of horses. And so Zasset, I think, was killed down in the actual, I don't know if this still remembers the, it does remember the name, where we got him. Okay, this is cool. We can just go back through the actual fortress. Yeah, down in here. So outside here, Zasset, we've got trolls that made their way in. Actually, we can't see all of it. Zasset was killed further out. With all of this, there's actually a wall built further out through here, and Zasset was killed out here somewhere by a giant Om. Just while hunting the various beasts, but it was never a member of the actual fortress. Okay, so Chaos is still just creating masterful amulets and crowns even while the siege is going on. And as I said, at this stage, we think we're still going to be okay. Cyril, led to death, slain by different goblins with a Iron Morning Star in Land Sounded. So we were bringing different people from the fights. Some of them were sort of making their way back through. Actually, where was it? It's been further up, I think. Yeah, this is actually where we ended up. You see that there's people who didn't quite make it. So mangled skeletons in through there, mangled skeletons, Sibrex mangled skeletons. These are all the turkeys that did die, so I don't know why it's only said that there was one turkey that died. The Syrians, like even though brought into the hospital, Syrian died on the bed there. Who else we got? Orangutan's libraries, mangled skeleton in through there. North Rex's mangled skeleton. Nish. If they're mangled, they can't do anything with them. Tailsly Fox skeleton and also Friday Shio skeleton. If they're mangled, they can't come back to life, but if a Necromancer came down through here, these ones that aren't labelled mangled, will actually then, so this is Zaradin at the bottom of the list there, it's just a skeleton. So a few of these could be brought back to life fairly easily because the skeleton is still actually, is still working. This is the one I'm interested in, this one, Dragster. I don't know how Dragster died out here, and so I'm looking for where Dragster actually shows up in the list, because this is our well. We do actually have some, actually we can't see it down there, but this is actually where we've got the working well. Hi Northrex, how you going? So I take it the fortress is no more, and this cannot be salvaged. It can be salvaged. We're going to salvage it in a couple of days. This is the, and it will, when I salvage it, I'll be doing that on my live channel, so it'll be at DasTactic Live. So, but we don't know how this one died. And this is sort of, and this was actually the reason I'm doing this whole legend thing is because Dragster, you can see they've got a copper pick. This was actually our main miner, and I was keeping Dragster well away from the fights. So something actually happened here where Dragster got killed, and we haven't got there yet. So we're still just going through the legends mode. So this is it. We're in the middle of the fight now. We're about a month in with everything that's actually going down through here, and so different goblins are being attacked and killed, and so different dwarves, and so we're trying to drip feed. You got Sevo 3 bled to death by the goblin back into here. These will hardly have any history because they would have just come in straight in and up, I think. So this one's got 104. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So what's Sevo 3? A philosopher. Well, the philosophy here is life is short in Dwarf Fortress. Settled in rainy crafts. Yeah. Blah blah blah. I thought I saw another one of the named characters, but I didn't. This is Sev's third character in our fortress. This one here actually did a lot of authoring, did a lot of teaching. You think of all this culture gone to waste. So settled really late in our fortress, and yep. So. Became a member of the. So this one here became the owner of the turkey, Asmal. So came in with a pet turkey, which also unfortunately died. So Sev fought in the defence, but was bled to death, slain by the goblin with a silver flail in Lansdowne. So Sev basically was part of the. After having such a lustrous past as a philosopher. Writing all this stuff, teaching all this wonderful things, being a real beacon of society, gets fed into the meat grinder that is Lance-sounded. So he actually ends up literally just coming in. Here's your pet turkey. Go and fight and die. So he's actually been hit here. What did Atsu do? This is actually the goblin that attacked him. Bled to death, slain by the dwarf chaos. Okay, so this one, there's a lot of fighting going on, of course. So, yeah, so we've got struck down. So Grob was struck down. Began 2 was struck down by Atsu as well. And Sevo 3, all happening sort of basically on the same day. In the big fights that were to try to, at this stage, I think, actually, what's the date here? What's the time here? Because... this is 03. When does it all finish? Still got a fair bit to go on. This is I think when we're trying to break our way out to kill the siege engine, and I think that this is actually where we're just anyone that was around. Bang! Here's a sword. Here's a wooden stick. Just go out there and try and kill down some goblins. So Sick 02. What's the history we've got through here? Legendary tracker. Interesting. Just see if I sort of see stuff that makes a lot of sense. Oh, hang on. What's going on here? What is going on here? So we've got Sick gave up would become a scout so this is why he started to become a legendary tracker. In the early autumn, Sick fooled the Vault of Ivy, which is a civilization of dwarves, into believing Sick was the dwarf scholar Kib Die-Dimpled. So he's a bit shady, Sick is, in this case. So we've got a bit of become a woodcutter, became war buddies back in through here. This is in 173. This is a long, long time ago. Got married, settled into a different location through here. This is a Mountain Halls. See if he does more things. Sick as the dwarf monster slayer Histek Troopy Prefect performed a false friendship with the goblin in order to extract information. So this is a shady character. So he's pretending he's this guy Histek Droopy Perfect. Sick Droopy Perfect. For another false friendship with the dwarf Mosul Oilwind, which is a monk, in order to extract information. Okay, so there's so much that goes on in this game. It's unbelievable. So performed a false friendship again in through there just to get information, and settled in different locations. The Sick fooled the fence of drinks into believing Sick was the dwarf beast hunter. Members pillar graves. So he's just going around fooling everyone. Yep, so fooled this group into here. Believe Sick was the dwarf snatcher. Dosnob, so he's now dressed as a as a goblin, visiting different locations. So this is the West Plague. Yeah, okay, so he's actually got more war buddies. Fought back in through here. Divorced. Fought. Became lovers. At least he's not. Looks like he may have changed his ways in around the year 230-ish. Because he's no longer fooling anyone anymore. He's just doing things like getting relationships. He did well gambling at this location. So he's sort of on the edge of being a criminal. And then he fought in the Crazed Onslaught in Lance Sounded in 302. Was struck down in that location there. So with the Silver Spear. So didn't actually do any fighting as such there. It's funny because it looks like he would have been reasonable, should have been reasonable at fighting. These are different chronicles, the battles that he's took part in. So he took part in a lot of different stuff in through here. Actually, one thing we don't even know is what this siege actually was for. Let's have a look and see what the siege is that we're actually... this is the different battles. The Crazed Onslaught. Let's just see why were the goblins attacking? We haven't even established that. So the attacker Victorious was the West Plague, which we know was actually a nomadic group of goblins. So they weren't actually tied to any government. And okay, it doesn't actually tell us really what this war was or what was going on. It's not even saying where what the battle was. Fought in the Crazed Onslaught, which is just a battle. Okay, so I don't think we have I think it was just a raid, basically. I think it was a wandering band of goblins who just happened to come our way and sort of then attack us. And they had like their main siege group, but also 2 ambusher groups as well that were with them. In the end, it was a big force of goblins that actually did do the attacking. In fact, if we go all the way back out, this is the history. Let's go back to, this is, where is it? We've got the Crazed Onslaught. Is the, we've got the first rampage there. What's that one? Attack Unknown. I think there was, in the year 301, we did actually have the first rampage here. It was a beast attack, but nothing actually happened. I think this was a were creature that we saw and closed off the fortress, or the it was sort of like there was nothing we had. Like I think we dodged a bullet early. And this is literally just a battle. It's not even a war. Anyway, let's just keep on going forward. Oh, now I've screwed up again. Sorry, guys. I know where I am. I know where I am. So we've got. We're going to do 50 at a time. Actually, we are in the right spot here. So now we had struck down by the goblin, bled to death, slain by the goblin in through there at Land Sounded. So this one here, Vinyl Rabbit 02. Again, we're probably not going to see much legendary musician. So really not going to have a lot going on through here. I won't worry about everyone's actual history. So I am running out of time. So Chaos was struck down. So Chaos did a good job. But with a Silver Spear. And if we have a bit of a look, we might just see how many kills we end up getting here. I won't spend too much time. Yeah, so they made a lot of amazing things while at our... Like, probably has got the most events that actually happened. Fought in the Crazed Onslaught in defense of Land Sounded. So this is literally just the battle. Created a masterful figurine, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then we just go in. And so basically didn't do anything except die. Oh, hang on, we did have one kill, Atsu, which did actually get a couple of kills himself. So so Chaos is in there. Now we're getting towards the end of it now. So Yep, Sev bled to death with a copper spear. Art of Stuttering was struck down by the goblin with a silver spear. This is where we're just feeding in everyone now into it. Now, there was a dragster was scared to death by Zasset. Now, is Dragster the one that is this Dragster? Yeah, this is Dragster. Okay, that now we have context for what actually happened. Let's have a look and see what actually happened here. So the ghost, that ghost isn't still around, is it? I don't think. Dead or missing. We'll just do it by this list here. There it is. Zasset is still around. So Zasset is in the fortress here somewhere. Oh no, it's not. I can't find it, but it is around. So Zasset is an undead, the ghostly axe dwarf. So Zasset was the one that got killed by the giant Olm in the back out in what was going on. And so when we have a look at this one, actually, Battlemate is saying those evil undead maps are far too difficult for me. The base game is tough enough, and I heard that Goblin Sieges are now really scary. They are. Yeah, they're really hard. So Battlemate is saying also, did you play any of the Fortress Adventure mode on this, or was it just for the Legend Study? This one's just the wrap-up, because we lost the Fortress, basically. We lost it a week and a bit ago, so it was completely destroyed. Again, the whole group, if anyone's interested, just go into youtube.com, and then I've got my new /@DasTactic Live, so then you can go through. If you then go to the playlists, where are they? Playlists in through here. You'll then sort of find the various playlists for the more longer streams. So we've got the Pit of Doom is the actual is our run through here. 8 videos basically from the start to the end. So the very final ones were, and I'll just pause that. So we've got Reclaiming a Haunted Fortress. So we did actually take this one over. Settling in, Securing the Caverns, Pit of Doom. Actually, that's when things started to go crazy. Finding the rocs. We didn't find them. We did search for them, but couldn't find them. Preparing the metal industry. So we started to sort of build things up. And then I thought we were going to be actually, like everything was going to go fine. But in this case was where it was during this one that the siege occurred, and then finally we lost the fortress in the final one there. So this was we were running out. In fact, if I go and click on that one, and I'll just minimize. I'll just mute this. But you can see down through here already. This one is sort of showing the attack where we tried to get out. Not sure who that is fighting there. Someone's still got some equipment, but a lot of them don't have any equipment, and I don't know if it'll sort of show. I'll just see if I can find in here. There was a lot going on. We were trying to break our way out of, where is it? Let's let it go forward. Yeah, so we just can't make it out of here, basically. If I keep on going, it's sort of, and the siege engine is down here, like you can sort of see it underneath there. They're breaking through with their siege engine. Our guys have all been basically destroyed in through here, and we're just cobbling together whatever guys we can get in to fight. So we've got groups in through here. There's a bit of carnage going on in this part of the actual fortress. They've now smashed their way open, and so we now have to get a group of fighters to go and fight that. And so this is the final ambush, basically the final bits where we sort of come back through trying to sort of kill what's going on, but to no effect, unfortunately. So anyway, if you are wanting to sort of watch that whole series, 8 videos basically, Pit of Doom, we'll be doing a Pit of Doom number 2, so we'll actually add these ones in when we go in. We'll start in a day or two, I think, and so we'll actually then go and do that, but that will be on that @DasTactic Live channel, because that's where my live streams will now go. Now we've got, where was it? Dragster was scared to death by the restless murderous ghost dwarf Zasset. So if we look at Dragster, because Dragster was someone that I thought we'd be able to push into something that actually happened. Only 4 events. So became a member right from the very, very start, one of the originals, and settled in through here. And actually, Dragster was our miner. And so Dragster was well out away from everything. No dramas. I think did come across some troglodytes at one point, but didn't really get involved. And then in the end, fought meaning basically was there when this thing actually happened, but didn't actually do any fighting. And then unfortunately was scared to death by the restless murderous ghost dwarf Zasset, who is still around. So we're going to have to put all of these. We're going to have to really rush to fix up the damage that's been done with these ghosts that are now, these murderous ghosts that are now sort of been disturbed and are causing issues in our fortress. So that's what, I couldn't figure out what happened with Dragster. In fact, at one point, at the point where Dragster died, you saw how late in the piece that actually was. When we have a look at it, this is sort of like right when all the fighting is going on. In one sense, because she was a miner, and she sort of had like the copper pick, she actually was in a good position to be able to do some damage against the goblins. So I was hoping that if push came to shove, we'd be able to use her, but she was intact. And I couldn't figure out how she died. Anyway, it was because of the ghost. So haunted to death. So we've got different. Outer Buffalo still sort of killing different people. Sev was slain back and through here. Outer Stuttering was struck down by a goblin. Outer Stuttering was around for a while. Only 45 years old. So we've got different ones in through here as well. Become childhood friends. How much is there? There's only 26. So yeah, nothing much really. Now this one here is a poet. So it was a apprentice poet, was it? Yeah, poet swordsman. In the end, a swordsman. So really didn't have any real reason to be a swordsman, but ended up So was she did get 2 kills, which was interesting. So this is so did actually kill 2 of the goblins before succumbing. And have a look at the skill set: speaker, poet, and again entry-level swordsman. 1800 just means you've picked up a sword in this instance, but there's no novice dodging. It says competent. Actually, I don't know if competency if you would call it that. I wouldn't have thought that it'd be competent. Anyway, let's keep on going. Now, Dwarven was struck down by the goblin back in through here as well with a copper spear. So Dwarven was only 22 years old, so quite young for dwarfs. Still believed in Reg the True, of course, the god of the dwarfs. So we've got and again only 14, so hardly any history here. Became a trapper. Became the owner of the dog, Besmar. So this is back when life was good. So moved in with a pet dog. Besmar will have died, I think. Slain by the goblin with the copper bow. The dog was running around all over the place. It was a bit sad, really, because the dog was in. The goblins actually attacked down into this part of the fortress. They got down they were firing arrows. You can see the arrows are still on the ground here, where there's still like a silver arrow there, for example. There'll be other arrows around the place. And so the goblins were on this staircase from here. They'd made their way into this point and were then sort of firing down at anything that moved. And by the time they got to this level here, they then started chasing. Now, the dog died here. There we go, Besmar's skeleton. So Besmar is the pet dog of Dwarven. Unfortunately, got chased by the goblins. So the goblins then made their way down here, and so Besmar was actually then killed at that point. Is there an arrow still there? No, we're not seeing the arrows. Anyway, and so the goblins made it down into here and then started to destroy all of the workshops that we had. So that was what happened there. And also he had another pet as well. So Sigan Silvery Whips. This one here died. Estra slain by the goblin with a silver arrow again, bled to death. So same thing. Both pets killed. Actually, so became a member, became the owner of that one through there. Then fought through there, was struck down by the goblin Snodzo. with a copper spear. So that was sort of what ended up happening with Dwarven. So Dwarven died. Mr. Voxy we've already gone through. Let's just go to the last page. The last page of history in through here. So we've got the so the goose bled to death. Yeah, so we're going to have, like, these are different people's pets. We don't get to see the others. Actually, that's why the turkeys didn't show up, because they weren't notable deaths. It's only notable deaths that actually get to be shown in the list of deaths. Asmal was shot and killed by the goblin, bled to death, slain. Yeah, so this is the dog. So the dog was slain after his master, and Asmal was as well. So this is actually when the goblins are inside, deep in the fortress at this stage. So the pig Reg was also slain by one of these spearmen. So the again had come down to attack all of the various animals. This is someone's pet pig. Vinyl Rabbit bled to death, slain by the goblin Snodzo, the copper spear. So Vinyl Rabbit, a lot of these actually were Vinyl Rabbit. I think ended up bleeding in the hospital. So bled out in the hospital. Again, orangutans as well was struck down by the goblin with a copper spear, and Lansounder struck down by a goblin. Yep, so North Rex. A lot of these ended up, I think, in the hospital. And that's right. What actually ended up happening through here, Vinyl Rabbit died. The others, the goblins made their way down into the hospital, so they just kept on going deeper and deeper down through this level, hunting for the. So they were all over the place. We're seeing other things in through here. More silver arrows. They're still firing arrows at people, and then they came in here and just basically destroyed everything in the fortress. In the hospital zone. So all of the dwarves that were here were all basically were sort of, this is sort of where they ended up. We're probably going to have to, when we go back in, we may have to make an atom smasher right from the very, very start, and or just because we've got so many bones. I'm going to probably have to have someone just dedicated to shuffling out body parts, and maybe we'll just do a mass grave somewhere and just atom smash it away, just so we don't have to think about it, because all of these creatures are going to come back to life, basically everything, when we go back in. This next run is going to be full of ghosts, and we're going to need to start working on them right from the very, very start. It's going to be a really interesting run, the next run. Again, we've got the different groups that are now being sort of thrown down. There was one survivor in the end, and it was one of the Begans, I think. So this is so we've got the various. That was the final thing, site destroyed. So in this case, the last one, we've got Frodo Shio was struck down by the goblin Snodzo, the copper spear. So Frodo Shio, former mayor of the Chamber of Jails. This is our last mayor. So the last actual last one that we actually made. There's Began 3. Began and Zaradin were the last of the actual named characters who actually ended up surviving, but ultimately ended up dying because we ended up giving up. So the West Plague defeated the Chamber of Jails and destroyed Lansounder on the 12th of the 5th in 302. So and we're sort of now moved in. We'll be moving in 2 weeks after this actually happened. So all of these different people now. I don't know where Began 3 got to. Began was he's got a couple of war buddies. This is the last Began. Kim a spinner. Nothing much through there. Well, we didn't actually end up with any criminal organisations that really, we've had a few of them touched on the criminal groups that were around the place, but we didn't really sort of come to see them at all. So that's sort of where we are now. This is Lansounder. I think that's it there. Yeah, that's Lansounder there. What have we got below us? Flight Panks is a mountain halls, but there's not a dwarven one. So fight planks. So I'm not sure what actually happened there. We've got over through here a torch calls, which is another mountain hall. So I'm not sure why are these controlled? Current owners, the Woods of Humanity. That's a group of humans. Region is the Towers of Thunder, which is the actual mountain range that we're in. This one here is under control by who? Nothing. It's just it's been abandoned. So 3 dwarves lost their life here, way back in the history. Anyway, that's sort of where we are. Anyway, guys, we have to leave it here. So that is where we are with the history of the fortress. At least we sort of found out what actually did happen to Dwarven, because I was thinking, what the hell? Like, cause it just suddenly it was dead, you know, look on the side of the fortress there. Here, right here. And this is before the goblins even got to this point. So I was all set to go and grab Dwarven and Dragster, sorry, not Dwarven. So grab Dragster and bring her into the actual fight. Because I think she would have done okay against the goblins that were actually sort of ended up being in here. By that stage, I mean, there was only a few of them, and maybe would have done okay. Anyway, it wasn't to be. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow, but I don't know when I'll start the next fortress, but it'll certainly be within the coming days. I'm really looking forward to it, particularly after seeing this. It certainly puts it into perspective as to what's going on in the world and what's around us. So we'll prepare properly, and those rocks, I am concerned that they may be, because the rock layer, just to sort of again go back down to the big threat, is actually here. This is actually where the various we've got different display cases. Now all the stuff that was on these is now gone, but we haven't been down here properly, and so it may very well be that the artifacts that were here were taken by the goblins, because we did actually have this as the start of where the rocks were, and then even further down there was more stuff in through here where the rocks. Now the rocks will be like we locked them in, but that doesn't mean that they've stayed locked in. We can't even see where we've locked them in through here. We did actually have all sorts of things to show, just to block off that area so we didn't have to deal with it until we had a strong military. And we did have a strong military at one point where, you know, we were thinking of, we'd actually try to take on the rocks one at a time and try to even capture one of them. But that's still very much on the cards when we go back down. So we've got rocks, we've got ghosts, we've got lots of bones to get rid of, which is going to be a pain in the bum. There's a lot of carnage we have to get rid of. We do actually have functioning farms, so we can sort of get up and running really quick. I can even just have like one or two of the dwarves just look after the running of the fortress. These are all our dead cats. So the different cats that we had. This was actually the seed stockpile. So we've still got some seeds in there, some farming going on through here as well. Anyway, we'll get to it eventually. And when we do sort of break into the fortress again. So we've got all these beds, and these beds are all fine. Like no one died in, oh yes they did. Melbull and Meng both died in that one for some reason. I don't know where Began's 3's corpse will end up being. But we've got all this stuff that we made, which is all still available to us. And we'll have to go and do a bit of a stock take on the different artifacts. And so we'll have a look at the various artifacts. Actually, what we can do is we can go to the artifacts that were created and just see where are they and what actually happened to them. So we'll just go back to the legend viewer again. Just go back into Lance Sounded. We'll make this the last thing we do. Go back down to the histories and do 100 at a time, and then we just go down until we sort of find a artifact that was then generated. This is still the old history. Only just taking it over now. So we should find histories. Sorry, should find artifacts built in through here. That's just settlements. Merchants, no. I think it was after all of this. I'll go to the next page. And before all that stuff happened, it was around it here. So we've got the masterpieces, the valley. What's that one there? Just a guild. It should be sort of like one of the first things we sort of see somewhere where somebody actually withdrew from society. So Alta Buffalo. And there we go, Toned Pulley. So Toned Pulley was an artifact grate. If we have a look at this one through here, we can then sort of see the events around this particular one. So it was stored in Lance Sounded. So as far as we know, this the goblins didn't get down to the bottom where the rocks were. So I'm guessing that we'll still find these things here at the location. So that's the last thing we know, was that it was actually stored there. So we should still have all of the treasure down in the bottom of the fortress. So we'll have to sort of see if we can find that. Anyway, it's all when we get started to sort of see what does actually happen. But yeah, it was very, very cool. Really, really cool, good fun with that one. And this one's going to be a completely different run, of course, with all of the ghosts that are going to be then haunting us. So there's going to be a lot of nastiness going on, I think. Anyway, I'll catch you guys tomorrow if you're around, and if not, have a good day no matter what. I'll see you next time.